Dear Africa.
Hey YouTube, welcome to Manifest Africa. Today is, I think it's the 3rd or the 4th of March. Yeah, I think it's the 4th. Y'all have to excuse me. I'm telling you, over here you can get so busy or even so relaxed and just lose count of time in your days. I do believe it's March the 4th though. I didn't make it to RIB because when it was Friday, I thought it was Wednesday or Thursday. So I'll go Monday morning. But since then, the guy that recommended 2 of the 3 employees that quit or stole my property, or my company property, I had asked him to have a talk with them. Actually, he told me that after I had texted him and before he had a chance to even get a hold of them to try and talk to them, it's a lot of ants, big ones. They had called him. So he had been trying to straighten it out. He's a man with vision, I call him, and he helps a lot of people. He seems to have a lot of integrity. But they lying to him. They're still lying about the whole situation, lying on me and my company and the way that I treated them. But it's all good. So then today, one of them texted my assistant and was like, oh, the only reason we didn't bring her company back, because what they have is some computer components that I have bought for their laptops in order to make their laptops go faster so that they can run the software that my business uses. And it's not a hard drive. They're disk drives. And so they told my assistant today that they can't give my stuff back because their information is on it. I didn't buy them hard drives. So it's just more things. What they're doing is they're trying to keep the stuff as long as they can so that they could do work for their friends, their little Instagram friends, or whoever method, or or whoever the ringleader, I think, hooked them up with to do work for. So the plan was to use my software and all of the upgrades that I bought for my company because other people might need them for their computers when they come or if they get hired. So that was their plan. That's why he recommended me another guy that I ended up letting go, because they knew that when they quit, they wouldn't have access to the software anymore. So I believe they were going to use that guy if I kept him on as their access to the software. So they just think they nickel slick, So today I removed myself from one of the group chats that I've been on since I first been here. It's a group of, like I said, Black Americans, African Americans, Caribbeans, Black people. So I very rarely participated in the group, but there have been a lot of back and forth in the group about charity and giving people things besides jobs and besides teaching them. And I just posted my opinions in the group chat, and the first thing someone wanted to say was, "Oh, you can't be black." You can't be black. Oh, you can't be all black. Like, what color are you? And I told him, yeah, I am biracial, and I'm not ashamed of it. But first, I'm a human being. I'm proud to be a human being with different DNA or different shades of color. Sometimes I'm a little light, sometimes I get really dark, I'm like a chameleon. So I just removed myself from the group because, first of all, I never even really wanted to join the group. When I first got here, a friend of mine from Dubai, he had his business partner try to look after me. So he's the one who told me to join a group. And I was even telling him, I'm not really like a group person, so I joined it anyway. But I very, very rarely participated. The first time I joined it, like I I didn't feel welcomed. They were having, someone in the group was having a get together that really wasn't for everybody in the group, in my opinion. And then the next time I commented, well, not the next time, I've made some comments behind the scenes personally, directly to people. But yeah, the next time I commented, I get called like you're not even part of us anyway. Divide and conquer. That's how people empower governments, people in power. That's how they keep control of the population. They keep them divided by petty little things that really shouldn't divide you. But so I just removed myself from the group. I posted my Dear Africa poem in there because, the guy was like, really like, what color are you? Or, I bet you're not all black, or however he said it. So I posted my Dear Africa poem in there for him so he could know who I am, because I'm all that and a whole lot more. And I wonder, because of how government agencies are all over the world, like how many people in that group chat are there just to discourage or to keep some division among people, or even to spy, on what people are doing. So I was going to post a video of me crying yesterday about my experience, but for some reason it wouldn't download. So I said, okay, source. After I tried it twice and it didn't work, I said it wasn't meant for me. They don't even deserve to know my experience. A lot of black people are coming over here, and like I told them, I don't have to sugarcoat shit. They want to sugarcoat their experience. They want to make excuses for people not having integrity, and they just, or you're not black enough, or you're not a part of us. Their opinion or their truth should be discounted because they're not black. And I used to call myself, as in some of my previous videos, because this world is full of labels. You know what I'm saying? It's like you have to label yourself something in this world. You can't just be, a soul, a goddess. You can't just be flesh, human being. You can't be just a human being. You have to label yourself in this world. So I used to label myself as an African American. Well, I went from a black person to an African American to now I'm just a black American. I guess labels change all the time depending on what society is going through. But I really got to black American from listening to Bro Sanchez, a guy on YouTube that I listen to. And when I thought about it and contemplated it, I'm like, yeah, that is what I am. I'm a black American. And actually, black Americans are a unique subculture of the world, because I think because there's probably like black Chinese or black Koreans, or, you know what I'm saying? So, but we all know that we probably all originated from Africa. And so then you have to assimilate into another country, and then you become part of that country's DNA, but you still hold on to your DNA from Africa. However, after a certain amount of time, like I would say, it's hard for me to explain what I'm trying to say. I would say like the first slaves that came over here were African, and then their first descendants were African American, and then when you go on 400 or 500 years, or however long it's been since, then we are, I don't know when we would say it started. I don't know what year. I'm not a history buff, but at some point, we're just black Americans. That's just what, how I'm feeling right now. At some point we're just black Americans. We have a unique culture. There's unique things. Maybe the ones that were first born. Now, I wouldn't necessarily after slavery ended, but maybe after the Jim Crow era ended. We're black Americans. Now, I was boohoo crying the other day about, or last week or so, about, I just don't feel like I have a family, or I really belong anywhere, or we have any traditions, But as I'm thinking about it today, Black people, Black Americans, we do have a culture, we do have traditions, howbeit maybe not thousands and thousands of years of traditions, but, we got some hundreds of years of traditions. They may not be perfect, but that's what we have. We hook up for holidays, we play cards, something we like to do. We drone on each other on the front porch, talk about each other, out of love, the rapping culture. Um, we have, there's a lot of culture that we have when I think about it. There's a lot of things that are uniquely just made up, by Black Americans. So we do have that culture, and it's a culture that I'm going to work on, no matter how imperfect it is, that I'm going to work on being more proud of and letting more people know that, yeah, there are things that, that we've come up with that we can be proud of as Black Americans, traditions and a culture. Might not be perfect, but it is us, so I'm going to start working on that. And I was just texting in the group to the group administrator, going back to what I was first talking about. Like, I'm going to remove myself from your group. I appreciate our group, and I yet move myself away from it because, all these charities that they're talking about doing over here, we're not even all the way together, as Black Americans. We don't even, we're not even all together ourselves. It seems like, you need to get your own house in order before you try to come and get somebody else's house in order. And they got very upset when I told them, because of Christianity, we've been groomed and beat into our head, to be the help of the world. We don't have to be the help of the world. We don't have to help people wherever we go. What's wrong with, taking care of your own business, taking care of your family, and, basically that's what you do. You keep yourself and your family from being a burden on society. I don't see what's wrong with that. Of course it feels good to help people. I've helped so many people here, there, everywhere. I've even given to the some of the white organizations that claim they helped. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, they got very upset about that. Um, but that's my valid opinion, and that's how I feel. And that's their valid opinion. That's how they feel. If they feel like I shouldn't comment because I'm not really a Black person, African American, then hey, they have their right. But I know what I am. I know who I am, and like that's why I sent them the poem. I'm all that and I'm a whole lot more. Yeah, so it's Saturday. I haven't even left out the house. My eyes swell up a little bit from crying too much and rubbing my eyes. My allergies kicked in. So I'm probably just chill in the house. I might ride to my office and there's some things I left there, but it's going to be a pretty laid back day for me today. I came out here to sit in the sun because I need some energy, some sun therapy. Sitting in the house and in the dark. I'm at my new Airbnb. It's beautiful. She has a beautiful garden. Her front yard is very, very beautiful. I'm out in Kabagabaga now, so this is where it's supposed to be like the high society, one of the high society areas of Rwanda, or at least this is where they tell all of the Black Americans to go. So it is nice out here, I would say. It's nice everywhere in Rwanda, but it is nice out here. She lives a little down in the valley, and her house is at 1 story, so not necessarily the views, which when you come here, the views are that's the value that you get for the property here, in my opinion, the city views. But it's very nice. It's very nice. Oh, I wonder if she got a bee nest. There's a lot of bees that I'm just not noticing. I better get away from them. On that pretty tree, whatever kind of tree that is. There's a lot of bees. So there's got to be a bee nest somewhere. But yeah, so thank you for watching Manifest Africa. I'm headed back to the backstory in about 2 weeks. I'm really ready to go home. I want to get less than 2 weeks. I want to get a ticket. I want to get a ticket, leave sooner, but I'm on a budget. So yeah, thank you for watching. Especially share and engage and have a conversation with some people about how they feel, like about, do you feel like after a certain generation in the United States, we should still be calling ourselves African American, or should we just be calling ourselves Black Americans? I think the term for it now is fundamental Black Americans or foundational Black Americans. So just engage out of courtesy. Don't make anybody feel like they're less than because of the color of their skin. Thank you.
She came onto the country shores
As if she were 100-year storm. Most would heed the warning in time. Take shelter before even catching the enticing smell of the beautiful coming rain. A few godlike men, yet untamed by Mother Nature, would embrace the strong, somehow comforting change of winds. Allow themselves to take up the treasures revealed, left behind her impassioned path. Knowing her omnipresence is in the same nature of themselves, which called unto the storm.